Shakedown 1979. Dun, 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 dun. I love doom. Bow, 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 bow.
All right. I like that. Answers by guess. What up, what up, what up? What's going on, guys?
Nada. Nada.
Thanksgiving special, everybody. Thanksgiving. I know I'm ready to eat. How about you?
Yeah, I am. I heard I know we did our thing last year, so we don't want to beat any dead horses with favorite sides, but I heard a thing on the radio where people were comparing fantasy players, football players, to side dishes. It was pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah.
What's up, Alan? All right, guys. It is Thanksgiving week. We're going to be going over some questions first, then we will be jumping into the
It's
three
hair.
games.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh,
uh,
fancy
uh,
hair. I'm wearing my
uh.
Knicks hat. I got my Knicks game on behind me. They were up 24. Now they're only up 4.
I
So
got I got my knickers on. About it.
remember, guys, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon. Go follow us, subscribe, like us, the whole kit and caboodle. Bye weeks, Arizona Cardinals, Kansas City Chiefs. 2 big teams, a lot of players.
The NFL, huh? The NFL. It's like this has been one of the most difficult years, and I love it. It's been pretty upside down. Nobody's safe. Nobody's great. And that's pretty much how it is for fantasy as well. Nobody's safe. Nobody's great, except for Jonathan Taylor. That was probably.
Fantastic.
I said I was worried. I'll own up to it. I said I was worried. And I also said he's the best running back in football. I've been saying that for weeks. Yeah, he is. So congrats if you had him. Eckler, too. He's proved me wrong this year. He stayed relatively healthy. Um, so that's probably my worst year-long call. I would say Jonathan Taylor last week. I said you use him. I told you there's no way you bench him, but I just didn't feel good about it. But that just proves. It just proves. I mean, you can't. Nothing. I'm listening to people, millionaires, and reading articles written by maybe six-figure folk, and they're saying the same exact way that I'm feeling. That this has been. These are all fantasy gurus. That this year has just been one of their most difficult years. I don't feel like it's been super difficult, but I feel like it's been super unpredictable. Most of the time, the guys that you think would do something, it's like they don't, and like you're used to that every once in a while, but it's every single week. It's every single week, and I think the records that we see across leagues. I mean, I'm in 6 leagues, and very few leagues is there somebody at the top, maybe with 2 or 3 losses, and then like 2 through 10 are like 2 games apart. A bunch of 4-7, 5-6, 6-5, 7-4. Just muddled in together this late in the season. It's just crazy because the unpredictability of fantasy football is just like tenfold this year, and I love it. I love it. It's extra frustrating, but extra fun. And the other thing I was thinking about, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, just from my perspective, I mean, in our most important league, I'm in second place right now at 7-4. I'm on a 3-game lose streak. Ever since I gloated when I was 7-1, I've been on a downhill. But you're right. I mean, nobody's out of it right now. I mean, the best team in our league is 8-3, and this is a pretty competitive 14-team league. So it's like nobody's out of it unless you're 3-8, which I think we only have one guy that's that at right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
don't beat yourselves up on it because he's right. Fantasy has just been different this year. There are some weeks that you're like, holy, I mean, think of Mageddon. Mageddon was one of the craziest weeks out there. And some people like, I mean, for me, for example, I scored over 200 points in a league that week with Mageddon, where I saw other people putting up 60s, 70s and winning.
And
So
then one of the next weeks, and you have like 80. or 90.
Yeah, I think I
like
put 93 up or something like that. It's just so crazy.
Pretty much the same exact people.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And now I forget the second thing I was going to say, but it's okay.
Sorry, old man.
No, it's all right.
Old man problems.
I mean, I'll remember it, but it just had something along the lines to do with, just the craziness and the greatness. It's amazing. Love it. I hope I remember what I was going to say because I feel like it was important.
It was funny. I actually saw somebody. I'm in a bunch of fantasy groups, and someone's like, "I have Jonathan Taylor and Eckler and still lost." I was like, "How the hell is that even possible?" That's another craziness. He did have. I mean, the rest of his team sucked it up, but he was going against A-Rod, Justin Jefferson, Nick Chubb, and a bunch of guys like that. It's like, all right, well, it does make sense that you lost,
Yeah.
So, very interesting, man.
Yeah, that's good though. I like it.
It is. It's fun. It makes it fun. It makes it more competitive towards the end. You don't have anybody that's too ahead of the pack that you can't catch. And there's people at the bottom like, damn, I still got a chance with, 3 weeks here to go or 2 weeks here to go. 3 weeks? Just 12, 13, 14. Yeah, 3 weeks. All right. Let's talk about some news information, waivers. Anybody of importance you think? I mean, obviously the game yesterday got Garrett fired. How does that affect the Giants players? Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, so Darko posted something about that. He's thinking maybe that gets Galladay going. I just think what it does is it's going to just open up their playbook, so to speak. I mean, I hate to be cliche about it, but Garrett was doing Garrett things, and a lot of their play calls were low. I mean, how does Kadarius Toney get 12 targets, 7 catches, and like 33 yards or something like that? I mean, it's
Beasley had a game like that too. That he had 8 receptions for 30-something yards. It's like, what? What kind of football is that?
Yeah, maybe when they get Shepard back, it'll help them out some. Maybe that'll be next week, this upcoming week. But yeah, I mean, Garrett gone. A lot of times this helps teams, right? Helps our offenses when the coaches go. It's like a new lease on life, so to speak. Guys that didn't get much playing time work a little bit harder in practice, impress the new guy. Guys that have been playing got to impress the new guy so that he works them into the play calls. So it could get Galladay going. I think Galladay's biggest hurdle is really his health. Shepard coming back is not going to help it necessarily. We'll see. Daniel Jones made a few bonehead plays as well. I mean, you got to remember they're going against the Bucs, one of the best, at one point the best. I don't think they are anymore, especially without Vita Vea. But it's a tough defense on the road. Tom Brady pissed off. We said that. We said don't play teams that are coming. Don't play players on teams that are going against somebody coming off a loss in a game they never should have lost. And Bucs never should have lost to Washington. And it was close for like a quarter and a half, and then Giants players just died because the Bucs just shut it down. And it was
just died.
It was exactly like it was a couple of weeks ago. So we'll see who lost last week. Let's take a look at that. That shouldn't have Tennessee. Now Tennessee, I believe, is going against somebody decent. Miami? No. Yeah.
Tennessee is playing. We're in week
Carolina.
12.
Carolina's playing Miami. Somebody good.
Where is Tennessee? Oh, the Patriots.
Good. Yeah. So,
Patriots are home.
We'll see if this recipe works then, right?
I mean, I think about the Bills too would be in that same situation then, right?
Yeah. Well, the Bills lost to a good team. They probably shouldn't have lost, but they at least lost to a good team. Tennessee lost to Houston. Problem with Tennessee, though, is they have no offense. They have nobody. Akina. Marcus Johnson went down. Julio's out still. A.J. Brown's banged up. How'd Adrian Peterson work out for all you people that didn't listen to me? And he's gone.
Think about it. Is Hillard then a pickup? I mean, he got the most touches out of the backs.
He at least has youth.
Good point.
He's more youth. than those guys. Yeah, I mean, like I said, and Peterson, I believe I said that he would outproduce Foreman. I think he did. I can't be 100% correct. At least rushing the ball, I believe he did, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, he's gone. So, so
Go.
listen. Yeah, JT. And uh, yeah, I guess Dontrell Hilliard. I guess if that's what you want. Sure.
I'm just looking up the
I mean,
AP
there's other
stats and the
guys on
Foreman
waivers. I
stats.
mean, Jones Jr. this week because Ingram didn't practice, Kamara didn't practice, so bada boom, bada bing. Maybe they get Ty Montgomery healthy. Probably not. So it'll probably just be Jones Jr. We'll see. Troutman's out, and Juwan Johnson comes back. Um, who else got hurt? Is out. Somebody else. Oh, Jordan Howard's gone for weeks. So
Did Agnew get hurt as well?
Agnew's out for the year, so maybe Chenault. But
You know what? Chenault actually got some love, I feel like, after Agnew went down, if I'm not mistaken.
he did. He did. The Eagles situation, I think Miles Sanders is going to be the winner. I pretty much said it last week that Gainwell will probably be inactive. He's Wendell Smallwood. Um, so, but without Jordan Howard, now he's going to come back in the fold. That's what's going to happen. Is this week you're going to see Gainwell do some things, and I'll call that on a Tuesday because Howard's gone. It'll be Sanders. They'll mix in Scott how they have been. Gainwell will be active. He'll do some things, and everybody will be picking him up in week 13. You know it. And then week 14, he won't do anything.
And people will
And,
start him because of what week 12 looked like, right?
yep. No, because of what week 13. Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
We're in week 12.
yeah.
Heineke, if you have Mahomes on a bye, do you take a shot on someone like that if he's on the waiver? I mean, he had two okay games back to back now. I mean, he didn't play the greatest against Tampa, but he did look good against Carolina. He's getting more trust in his receivers. Could he kind of be a good fill-in for a quarterback situation if you need one? They're playing Seattle on Monday night.
Yeah, it's pretty much him and Daniel Jones that are out there. Cam Newton's still out there in a few leagues. I'm sure he'll be picked up this week. Tua is still out there in a bunch of leagues. Jared Goff's coming back. You don't want anything to do with that. Andy Dalton. I think Andy Dalton would be somebody going against the Lions on Thanksgiving, and he's competent and he's got some weapons. I think he would be a pretty good streamer this week. You just, unfortunately, you know exactly what you're getting with Andy Dalton, and the upside is not really there. It's more of a safe play. Um, like you said, Heineke. Would you say they're playing? Oh yeah,
Seattle on Monday,
Monday
and
night.
they're home.
They're at home, and that's huge. And Heineke usually on a big stage shows out. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, I was like, man, I feel like he has a good man. Seattle just looks like poop, man. They just don't look good at all. I mean, they just can't move the ball. Their run game, they need the run game. That's what it comes down to, and their run game just is horrible. Rashad Penny's like, I'm coming out, balls to the wall. Ah, my hamstring. Gone.
Yeah, so probably gonna be Collins. Should be DJ. Homer will still do it. Still a headache.
DJ had the
And
touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, right?
yeah, he did, but I think he only had like 3 or 4 carries, maybe 5 max. But Russ doesn't look good. Um, you know,
What a
it's
trade.
tough. It's tough. Yeah, that was a good trade I made, but I still lost. I
Well,
still lost.
You went against Eckler, who just decided to be like, I'm gonna open the gates and and
And
win that way.
and Devontae,
Oh yeah, I
and he
mean,
picked up Cam Newton last second. And the defense I played against was Baltimore because they would have lost 3 or 4 points if Chicago would have kicked the extra point. But no, they go for 2. Whatever. I got killed though. I got smoked.
I got smoked this week too. I think the guy put up 230 points, and on average, I want to say a good week for us is about 140, 150, maybe
Yeah,
160 if you're having a really good week. I got
yeah.
230 put against me because of Mr. JT. destroyed my life. Between him and I think I sent you a picture between him, Rodgers, and Justin Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I was just like,
He had
I had 130 points between those three guys before I even started.
Yeah.
My game was done by 2:00.
Hey, how about the week 11 guesstimator?
Good call, man.
That's 2 weeks in a row. We hit the guesstimator with 2 weeks in a row. Hopefully we don't jinx it. And I called Rob today. I was on my lunch break at work. I'm driving back to work. I was like, hey, Rob, I was just thinking about it. I think that switch that we made from Jamison Crowder to MVS gave us the win. And sure enough, Jeremy, I know you don't want to hear it, but if we kept Crowder in, you would have beat us by right around 1.5 points, which is what I said you were going to beat us by. We made that switch. We put MVS in for Crowder, and we won by 4.5 or whatever. But we would have lost by 1.5. I almost nailed it, but I made that switch at the end that gave us the win. So I'm sorry, not sorry.
The funny part about it is you're texting me like, I think we're projected to lose by 1.5 points going into Sunday night. So
yeah,
crazy stuff.
Crazy.
But pulled out the win.
Yeah.
All right, you want to jump into some comments and questions?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. All right, Alan. Kelsey on a bye. Pick up Komet, Njoku, Hooper, Everett, Uzuma, Doyle, Jonnu. You want me to go through who's playing who?
No, Komet, he was part of my trio with Freiermuth and Troutman. Troutman out, and I think Komet is a downgrade with Dalton. I think Komet was really starting to find his groove with Fields. And with Fields being out, I feel like it sort of knocks Komet down a little. But you could go through them. I'm going to look at them too. But if you want to go through them for the listeners, the watchers.
All right. Komet is playing against the Lions 12:30 on Thursday. Njoku playing Sunday Night Football against the Ravens. Same thing with Hooper. Everett's Monday night in Washington. Uzuma is playing the Steelers at home. Doyle is playing the Buccaneers at home. And Jonnu is playing the Titans at home.
Yeah, Alan, I kind of have a feeling, a little tiny one, about Hooper. But I cannot recommend people who I don't like going into the season. Plus, he's 1 of 3 for Cleveland. But I do think because of Baker's injury and inability to really get the ball downfield accurately, that tight ends will be used. So that's why I kind of like Hooper. But I'm going to go with Everett and kind of the same exact reason. Obviously Russell Wilson's not 100% back. His accuracy's off. He's struggling holding the ball too long. Best way to get it out is use your running backs and your tight ends. So, and then you get a little Monday night magic on top of it. I'm going to go with Gerald Everett here on a Tuesday night before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I would go with the Monday Night Magic as well. Even though Russell didn't look good, I mean, he still was throwing to Everett. That seemed to be his favorite target. I mean, Metcalf and Lockett really weren't in the game. Whenever he was in trouble, like Esther said, he was looking Everett's way. So, all right, Jeremy, 5-6 in both leagues. Looks like I won't make the playoffs in either unless I win out and get high point totals. Sadly, most weeks the points were on my bench.
That's not true. 5-6, you're right there. 5-6 is like 5-6 is like a B, if not a B plus this year, from what I've seen. I mean, if you're 7-4, you get an A. 6-5, A minus. Like, this year's tough. A lot of people are right around that 500 mark where you're at, Jeremy. You are not. It does not look like I won't make the playoffs neither. I mean, you could end this season, 8-6? I think that gets you into the playoffs more than likely. I mean, I don't know the makeup of your league. I don't know how many teams make it. I don't know how many teams are in it. I don't know what the top looks like. I don't know what the bottom looks like.
Well, he's talking about ABG as one of the leagues.
Well, 14 teams, 5-6. Man, we're 4-7?
4-7.
And I think we're going to make the playoffs. So You're definitely in it. You're ahead of us, but we're coming. We're
Flex on.
coming. We got a big one this week. I hate projections, but we're projected to lose by over 30. But that's okay. That's where I like to be. I'd rather be projected to lose by 30 than up by 30.
Underdog status.
That's it.
All right, Antonio F. with the question: drop Van Jefferson and pick up Cedric Wilson. You had mentioned this already, but now that we seems like Amari and Cooper are both going to be
Yeah.
out, let's talk a little. Go into it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I wrote back to. It's like you pretty much have to. He's the number 2 there, and he's been involved as the number 3. So yeah, I would. Van Jefferson's the third. They've had a bye week plus an extra week to get Odell acclimated. Stafford's going to look his way. Cooper Cup's the bona fide number 1. They still got Higbee. They still got Henderson. Van Jefferson is the number 3 on a team with a lot of playmakers. And Dallas needs a win coming off that game. And Cedric Wilson's their number 2. I think you got to do it. I think that Thanksgiving game. And Dallas usually plays okay on Thanksgiving, I think.
I feel like Dallas usually plays better. I mean, they're playing the Raiders too. Raiders are on a downswing right now. They just lost, so this is another good example. They just lost to even though it was a good team, it was a pretty bad beating, and they only lost by 10. It was a very defensive game from Kansas City. This is something that I'm going to look at. That I don't care if my players are out. Zeke is healthy, Pollard's healthy. Whoever's healthy is on the field is going to get the ball, and I think Dak's going to be slinging it. So that does sound like it makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie S. with a question here. Got my best players on bye this week. Would you guys play Higgins, Gallup, or Shepard?
Same answer, Gallup. You don't know if Shepard's going to play, and if you hold out on Shepard, you're going to miss Gallup on Thursday. And T. Higgins is, he's good to go, but I'm going to go with Gallup as the number 1. Dak just missed him a couple times on deep passes. He looks his way deep. He looks his way shallow. And he's their number 1 going into this week. So I'm going to go with Gallup since he's got a relatively tough game against Pittsburgh. And Burrow hasn't looked good for consecutive weeks. So I'm going to go with Gallup.
I had all my hopes in Burrow this year. He's going on the downswing. I might have to start thinking about another quarterback, to be honest with you.
Heineke.
I know. I was saying, yeah. My boy, Heineke.
That's your boy.
I do. I love him because it sounds like Heineken, and I love Heineken, so might as well. All in the family. Darko, that we were mentioning before, maybe Kenny Galladay is actually get to be used now. Garrett got fired. I think it's just going to be a crapshoot still with the Giants, to be honest with you. Barkley doesn't look explosive. I know it's his first game back off the high ankle. He didn't look good. Booker didn't look good. There was a play that I actually saw. They pulled a Jets play, actually. There's 2 guys on the outside. There's 5 receivers on the field, and 3 of them actually bump into each other in the middle of the field. Yeah. It's like, what the fudge, guys? It's like, really? That's not football. So I'm pretty sure that's the play that got him fired.
Nope. Well, one of them, icing on the cake.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, my thing with Galladay, Kenny Galladay has been pretty much exactly what I thought he would be this preseason. You go back and you watch our preseason show. Didn't like him for the injuries and for the fact that I felt like he just lost a step. And on the field, it clearly seems, we could try and put some on Garrett, but Galladay doesn't look like the same Galladay from 2017 and 18. Galladay, I keep saying Galladay. From 2017 as a rookie in 2018 with the Lions, he just doesn't look. He's slower. He's not as shifty. And some of it could be Garrett, some of it could be Jones, but I think a lot of it is just the injuries just weighing on him. And there's more explosive options. Will it help? I don't think it hurts him with Garrett gone, but I still don't think we're getting Kenny Galladay from 2017, 2018. I think those days are gone. And that's the way I felt going into the season. Okay, JT.
Oh, every time I have a JT opportunity, it's gonna happen today. You know that, right? All right, Alan. No Kyler. Pick up Jimmy G, Mac Jones, Tyrod Taylor, Big Ben, Teddy Bridgewater, or Trevor Siemian? If Heineke's available, I'm going Heineke.
I was just making sure this wasn't one of your aliases. I had to look at the name because once you commented, I was like, "Oh my god, who's this?" Roberto Tonies. You know what? I'm gonna do at home. Um, I'm gonna ride the Jimmy G train.
Wow.
AU coming on. Debo's unstoppable. Kittle looks healthy.
Man.
Elijah Mitchell's probably coming back, which is going to help the running backs because Jeffrey Wilson didn't even get a third of what I thought he would. Could have had 2 touchdowns. Bad throw by Jimmy G on one, and he was struggling to get yards for the other one the whole game. So it's Mitchell. If Mitchell's healthy, like Jeffrey Wilson did nothing to win the job, so congrats to Mitchell owners. Rob, congrats. I'm going to go with Jimmy G. Going against Minnesota, the offense was rolling a little bit last week. The only problem you have coming into this is they were bumped up, just like I said, pumped up for that game because they're playing their division rival, the Packers, their hated rival, the rivalry. A little bit of a letdown. Well, now you got to travel all the way, halfway across the country because they're in the middle. And play against a Niners team who's pretty hot right now, and their offense is rolling. And A-Rod carved them up. They didn't really stop Green Bay. I don't think Jimmy G is A-Rod by any means, but they might have, a little bit more explosivity on offense. I think George Kittle's the X factor. I think I'd go Jimmy G.
Out of this list, Jimmy G probably would make the most sense. Mac Jones has been coming on a little bit, but can you trust the Patriots offense?
I'm nervous.
Are they just going to be run the ball in defense?
Yeah, I'm nervous for 2 reasons. They're playing Tennessee, who's pissed off. They fit our algorithm, if you will. A team that should have blown out, a team that got embarrassed, and what they could do on defense, and then also what they can't do on offense. Like you just said, the Patriots could take the air out of the ball. Just run the clock, run, build a lead, run the clock, defend. And just Mac Jones isn't needed.
It's going to be a mind game, Vrabel versus Belichick, because they both think very similar. I think you're right. Tennessee has definitely the edge on it because of the way they lost. And you got to think about the Patriots destroyed who they played last time. So it's just like, you're right. Maybe I wouldn't go Mac Jones. Jimmy G sounds like it's the best answer. Or I will then reference again Heineke.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie S. with another question. At running back, I have a choice between Sanders, Mitchell, Gibson, and Freeman. Who are you going with?
Freeman's an interesting one. He looked good last week, but please remember that there was no Lamar. I mean, Huntley looked okay, but I felt like they used the running back just a little bit extra last week. Their offense was struggling just a little bit. If that's Miles Sanders, I think I'd go with him. He looked pretty good last week, and there's no Jordan Howard, and he's going against the Giants. So I think I'd use Miles Sanders. The Eagles are setting themselves up for a run here. They're doing what no other team in football is doing at this point, and that's running. And when the weather gets cold, they're already going to be really good at it. And other teams are going to have to get out of the passing just a little because that's just the way it is. It won't be drastic, but if Mitchell comes back, I like Mitchell going against the Vikings. Gibson, I feel like Gibson's going to have a game. This is tough. Running on the Seahawks is something you can do. I think you go Sanders and Gibson while you await the word on Mitchell.
To stay safe, I would probably go Gibson because of Monday Night Magic. Mitchell makes me nervous just because a healing finger doesn't heal in a week and a half. That's what makes me nervous. And what happens if there's a mid-game injury? So they play him because Shanahan's pushing him and forcing him in. He gets hurt even more. And then from that perspective, but I mean, anybody can get hurt, but it seems more likely in that situation than the others. I like Sanders too, though. I mean, you're right. The Eagles are trending up. Dude, Jalen Hurts, I was seeing a comparison between him and Lamar between their first 15 games or something like that he's played, and the numbers are almost the same exact numbers.
Oh,
but
yeah.
he's doing it so much more quietly.
Does he only need one? Because I'm thinking he needs two. Because that looks like a team of running backs, does it not?
I think he only needs one from the way the question was asked.
Gibson was a late first rounder, early second rounder, depending on the size of the league. Mitchell was a pickup. Freeman was a pickup. Sanders could have been an RB2 very easily, round 3-4. I'm going to go with Sanders and Gibson. And if you have to choose one, if you have to choose just one, go with what Rob said. I agree 100%. Gibson, Monday Night Magic. You can run on the Seahawks.
All right, Alan with another one. Does Stafford get back on track this week?
I don't see why not. Who are they playing?
Your boys.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Green Bay, Stafford, there's a long history there.
Stafford always plays good against Green Bay, man.
It's in Green Bay, so he knows the stadium. Yeah, I like Stafford this week. I like Stafford. It'll be interesting to see Odell going against Green Bay. I know Green Bay wanted him. And I'm looking at it, and the Packers are a 1-point favorite at home. That's a tricky line. They tricked a lot of people last week. One of my buddies, they tricked my buddy. He had Green Bay all over the place. I texted him, or he texted me. He's like, after Crosby's first miss, Crosby's the worst. And I go, you didn't take Green Bay, did you? And he goes, all over the place. That's my biggest one of the day. I go, why don't you watch Answers by Guess?
Yes.
Like, that was like my number one call. It's like, if you are ever, and I need to tell him this, if you are ever betting the Packers for or against, consult with me first. Like, really, I call it 90% of the time. If they're playing against somebody really good, like Arizona, I'm like, they're going to beat Arizona. If they're playing against an okay team like Vikings, like the Vikings are going to beat them. This game, Green Bay has the home field advantage. 1 point scares me with Vegas. Maybe they think people are thinking Green Bay's not that good. Maybe they're thinking the Rams aren't that good. I personally wouldn't touch this game, but on a Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I think Green Bay has the edge being at home. And if Mason Crosby doesn't miss any kicks, they win.
Mason Crosby sucks, dude.
It's another game. Crosby makes that field goal
to tie game.
Then, Minnesota then has to score a touchdown, and
true.
Dalvin Cook does it, and A-Rod gets the ball back with like a minute plus. You know he wins.
Oh, yeah.
You know he wins.
Him and Tom Brady, if you give them over a minute, game's over.
So that's 2 weeks in a row that Crosby's cost them. 2 losses in a row that Crosby's cost them. 2 out of 3 weeks. Well, it's 2-0. I don't know. Whenever they played Jordan Love. Ugh.
They beat Seattle the week before, but yes.
Right. The week before that, yeah.
All right. Went and saw my Giants got their ass kicked last night. Worst in person. Sorry, man. Daniel Jones was running for his life. It's crazy. Like I said, that one play, I think Daniel Jones got blown up when there was the 3 receivers that I was just mentioning in the middle. And it's just like, why do that to the kid? I don't think Daniel Jones is the truth anymore, though, to be honest. I guess the O-line's not good. The offensive coordinator's not been good. Daniel Jones doesn't look that great, man.
Before Jason Garrett got fired, because I was sure somebody would ask, and maybe they did, and I don't see it yet. It's down there. Somebody always asks the streamer defense. It was the Eagles because their defense has been looking really good. But then Garrett got fired. So I feel like that helps the Giants offense. So I don't feel like it's as good of a defense. So I would say I feel like Jones can bounce back a little bit this week, but he's really going to need Sterling Shepard.
He needs a safety blanket.
That's the missing link.
Yeah. If you think about it, I mean, how many targets is he averaging per game when he actually is playing? 9. I mean, that's a big thing. I honestly thought Kyle Rudolph was going to be the one to step up yesterday, and he's just fallen off the map completely.
Yeah, that's why Minnesota got rid of him.
Giants need to fire their O-line coach, fire Dave Gettleman, and revamp the O-line. I mean, O-line is tough ever in a lot of places, to be honest with you, man, but they paid a lot of money for that O-line.
Yeah.
I lost because I played Kirk over Boyd and Wilson over Wentz. Yeah, some weeks just tough, man. Kirk had a touchdown, though, I think, didn't he?
Both of those were the correct call. You can't look at things in hindsight. Wilson over Wentz was the correct call.
Yeah, they're playing the Bills. You're not expecting Wentz and JT to be going crazy. My bad.
and Kirk over Boyd was the right call. He's their de facto number 1. AJ Green's fallen off just a little bit ever since that one play in the Green Bay game where he fell asleep. He's still continued to snooze. And Kirk is their de facto number 1. And you played them in hopes that game would be a little more back and forth. What happened was Wilson stunk it up. He's not quite back from his injury. He was even struggling a little bit before that. He had some pretty good fantasy games. If Wilson plays better, Kirk does better. Because if Seattle scores points, Arizona keeps pushing the ball. Arizona didn't have to. Seattle couldn't do anything on offense. You had the right plays that just didn't work out. And it just goes hand in hand with pretty much how we opened the show, talking about, it's fantasy in a nutshell, but this season is, what's the word I'm looking for? Highlighted. That's not what I'm looking for, but that's basically, exemplified. No. Exaggerated. No. Magnified. Exponentially.
Colt McCoy looking like Kurt Warner out there, the way he was moving.
Yeah.
All right, Chad with the question here. Traded Pollard and Renfro for Godwin. Did I lose my bleep off or did I do okay? I think it's a good trade.
Yeah. You open up a roster spot, which is always good to have. If you have good running back depth, Pollard's been great. He's actually been sort of outplaying Zeke. I know Zeke had 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion 2 weeks ago, but Pollard, I feel like, had more yards in that game. And Renfro is Cooper Kupp when you buy him on Wish.com. We talked about that on the Saturday show. Hunter Renfro is Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is Amazon. Hunter Renfro is Wish, in case you didn't watch the show. But Godwin's Godwin. And I think if you can pick up a decent running back off the wire, I think that you're good. Or maybe another wide receiver because Godwin's going to have a bye in a couple of weeks.
Godwin had their bye already.
Oh, yeah, I forgot it was last week. I always think they're 14 for some reason.
What's funny is that they're usually one of the last weeks, I feel like, especially Tampa. I mean, Brady's only been there a short period of time, but I don't know. Tampa Bay always feels like they're one of those late weekers.
Yeah, I forgot they were last week, 2 weeks ago.
Chat with comment here. I'm 8-3 in 2 leagues and 7-4 in others. Yeah, man, flex on them. Do it.
So you're at the top, bro. Keep it up.
Jeremy, within my other league, I'm 2 games out, but I'm last due to point total tiebreakers.
F a tiebreaker.
Yeah, man. Win out. That's what you got to do. That's why you're here. J-Rob, Zeke, and Monty start all 3. Pittman, DK, Boyd, Hollywood Brown, Freiermuth are other flex options, seeing as I still need to start 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, what's wrong with those 3 running backs? And then you could pick 2 of those wide receivers. I think I'd use the first 2, Pittman and DK. Right?
Yeah. If Hollywood's healthy, I would take a look going against Cleveland. It's a Sunday nighter. But I don't know who I'm benching between Pittman and DK, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I like
Yeah, I would probably stick with Pittman and DK. I know Pittman didn't have a good game last week, but he's in every other week. I would play the ebbs and flows on that one.
Yeah, and you're getting the Monday Night Magic with DK. Yeah, it's just looking real quick, trying to find who Indy's playing.
They're playing Bucks at home.
Yeah, that's right. The Bucks. Yeah, they can't stop the pass. Yeah, bounce back. Pittman, you need him. Control the clock. The Bucks are going to do everything they can to stop Jonathan Taylor, but you know.
Who's your starting tight end? Because I may want to play Freiermuth against Cincy this week. I think they're going to come after Big Ben, and he's going to be the safety net. I know Deontay's usually that guy, but
I'm going to guess it's Gesicki looking at that team.
All right. Lockett, Shepard, Renfro, Higgins, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon. Start 3.
Oof. It sucks to have Javonte and Melvin. You don't know if Shepard's going to be healthy. Lockett is so boom or bust. I'd hate to start both of the Broncos. Like, I can't. But you can run on the Chargers. I see Javonte finally. I want him in my lineup. I want Javonte in my lineup. Probably have to go Javonte, Renfro, and Lockett, I guess. Or you go Renfro, Javonte, Gordon. And just take the Broncos run game.
I probably would want the Broncos run game against the Chargers. You can't trust Lockett right now. Shepard's too banged up. Renfro would be the other one. And Higgins is just – there's too many options over there.
Yeah.
Mixon's been looking good, though, man.
Oh, yeah. I go Renfro. Renfro in the two Broncos.
Jeremy, drop Titans Z to pick up Bears defense.
Yeah, Bears Z's not bad. I believe they're playing Houston this week, right? No.
Lions.
Just
Thursday nighter.
The same. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I can see that. Just because Belichick's coming in with a game plan for the Titans.
They won't need much.
Hold on to Pat's D going forward. Picked him up last week.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I would play the Patriots defense.
And you play them this week because they're going against Tennessee, who has no offensive firepower whatsoever.
Yeah, they got the Bills the following week, but they always play the Bills well too, man. All right, Wentz or Heineke this weekend?
Rob?
I'm going Heineke all the time now, man. I really like this kid. He would look fired up. They were saying some of the arm angles. Yeah, he's like, it's very Brett Favre-ish. I was like, ooh.
I think that was his boy, right? I think everybody growing up that's a quarterback aspired to be Brett Favre. Seems that way.
You know who my favorite was back then? Warren Moon. I love Warren Moon. I loved Randall Cunningham. I don't know. Maybe I was just a Vikings fan back then.
Chris Carter.
Oh, yeah, all those guys. Robert Smith. I mean, John Randall was one of my favorite. My cousin gave me a John Randall jersey that I lost somehow, but I had it for like 25 years, man.
All right. Night somewhere.
Probably. Or moving too many damn times. If Lamb is out, do I play Chenault, Curtis Samuel if he plays, Crowder, or Aguilar?
I think I'd go Chenault.
Yeah, especially with Agnew out.
Agnew out. Marvin Jones is in a Uber with Kenny Galladay somewhere, sailing off into the sunset. Crowder's fine, but I think I would go with the upside of Chenault. Although Zach Wilson might be back because the other two both have COVID.
Zach Wilson is back this week.
There you go. So we'll see.
Tuesday, I'm saying Chenault. Crowder is very close, though.
I agree.
All right. Another one from Josue. Think Foreman is the guy now that Peterson got cut, or Hilliard, the running back one in Tennessee?
Hilliard was the guy last week. Foreman was third. if I had to pick up one, it would be Hilliard, but I'm not excited about it. I mean, just because it's Tennessee, we said this week in, week out, show after show. From the jump, when Henry went down and people were going bonkers for Adrian Peterson, like, just because he puts on a Titans uniform does not mean you're getting Derrick Henry. Hilliard looked pretty good against Houston.
Excellent.
You
point.
trust in that? You trust in that? I'd go elsewhere. I'd rather have DJ Dallas. I'd rather pick up Gainwell because I'm sure somebody dropped him after he was inactive last week. I'd rather have Ronald Jones because I do feel like as the year goes on a little bit, they're going to start using him more. You saw it last night. I don't want any of the three-headed monster that they got going on there. Two-headed monster now because the other one's hurt too. Isn't McNichols hurt?
McNichols is out, yeah.
I'm sure they'll find somebody else. I don't know. I don't want it. They'll use them. They'll need them, without a doubt. But if it's one or the other, it's Hilliard for me. We talked about Foreman too much this year. I feel like it's 2017 when I loved him, and I told everybody to go out and grab him. It was Donta Foreman and Karan Higdon. Go back and watch those shows from 4 years ago. Those were my two sleepers. I mean, they weren't like my two, but they were two guys who I was like, if these guys got some playing time, and neither one of them got any playing time, so we have no clue. It's like Bryce Love. Bryce Love. Where is Bryce Love? Where is
That's
he?
somebody Titans, yeah. You would think would take a
Where
chance.
Is he? Did he just give up? He just gave up. He stopped. Who does that? Who is the potential number one pick, stays in school senior year, has a great year, gets injured on the last play of his college career, never comes back after 2 years in the pros, even though he got drafted, gets cut, and then just doesn't even bother trying. I don't get it. I don't get it. How is Donta Foreman, Adrian Peterson, I don't care about the name, how is he getting a job? How are the Ravens signing everyone and their mother? I feel like they just signed somebody else.
You know who I saw just got picked up by a practice squad?
No Bryce Love.
Not Bryce Love. Oh, man. I don't know
Somebody
what team it was. Oh, by the Titans. Golden Tate was picked up by the Titans. They're really trying hard, man.
You know who I blame?
Who?
The Ravens. They're enabling these teams to just pick up these old bums off the scrap heap. You want to know what the Titans did, though? And this is some guy that I forgot to mention, and I forgot about until this second, but I was all about him yesterday, coming off of Sunday. Loved him, absolutely loved him when they drafted him this year, and then they cut him, and he was signed to their practice squad, and then they cut him from the practice squad, and then he comes back this week and scores a touchdown. You know who? Dez Patrick. Not Des Bryant. Des Patrick.
Des Patrick?
No, Patrick. What the hell's going on?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
What do you mean?
I was watching the next game, to be honest with you.
Des Fitzpatrick.
Oh, Fitzpatrick.
Des Fitzpatrick.
Sorry.
Remember?
I don't.
Do you remember me talking about him in the preseason show? Des Fitzpatrick. There was somebody, it might have been Chad. I don't remember who it was. But I recapped the show for him and typed it into a Google Doc, and I think he shared it with a bunch of people. Maybe even Darko shared it with him. I believe his name is on there as a sleeper for the Tennessee Titans. Well, now they need him. He scored a touchdown last week. Not sure how many.
I don't remember about that, man.
3 for 35 and a touchdown. I just looked it up. Des Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he was drafted by them this year. They cut him, signed him to the practice squad. Around week 2 or 3, they cut him. Then all of a sudden this week he shows up in the game.
It's like, oh, there's that guy.
I think he came out of the stands. I was like, oh my God, they have Des Fitzpatrick again. That's a name. That's a name. You wanted a waiver. You want it outside the box. Somebody else is probably thinking about him. I won't take too much credit, but that's a guy. That's a guy. That's a guy you grabbed this week. If you're a wide receiver, Des Fitzpatrick. They got nobody else.
Sorry, man. I will apologize. My focus is not 100% on this just because the Knicks game's on playing the Lakers. And
well, here's what you need to know about this. And I'm not dissing you by any means. Because I know you love them and you're a true fan.
Yeah.
But even if they lose this game, it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't. I just hate what the Lakers have become.
So do I, and that's my favorite team, and I hate them.
I know, and Lakers were my second favorite team because of Kobe, and I hate the Lakers with a passion now more than they're like Red Sox level right now.
No, they're worse. They're worse.
They're up there. You know, Red Sox are worse in my opinion, but
the Red Sox at least win. They're not even in the playoffs right now. I mean, 20 games in the season doesn't matter. Just like I just said, even if the Knicks lose this game, it doesn't matter. They play too many games. It's not like football. Baseball is ridiculous. Like people watch. I know you watch the Yankee games all the time, so it's like, why? It's like, this game doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. They could lose 20 in a row and still get 100 wins. It's like, what?
My sons have become so obsessed because of having a father that literally is sports enabled all over the place. So I have to watch every Yankee game now and understand every stat now.
I'm not hating at all. The watching it is part of being a fanatic. It's what it's all about. But it's the people that get like pissed off. They're like, oh, I'm so mad the Yankees lost. It's like, this is game 43 out of 165 or whatever, 162. It's like, it really doesn't matter. It really makes no difference. They could lose the next 19 games and still win 100. You'll be fine.
My son's act so emotional. Like every single game is live or die.
I know.
He's like, we lost. I'm like, puppy, it's the third game of the season.
It's like Lou. It's like Lou. You see him on Facebook, I'm sure. And it's like, I'm like, dude, it's April. Like, what do you care? It doesn't matter. Like, how many seasons, we're talking about baseball now, sorry, but how many seasons you got, like, I don't even know, one of the worst teams ever is in first place with, like, they're like 18-3. And the next thing you know, you look 3 months later, they're 20-70 in the bottom of the division. It's like, what you get excited about? Why do you care? And then the Braves were second to last at the All-Star break in their division, I believe. And they end up having an amazing second half, winning 44 games and just plowing through the best teams in baseball. Plowing through them.
And that's without Acuna at the end, too, man.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
All right. Someone in ABG wanted to trade me Wilson Jr. and Stevenson for Waddle. I know I'm having running back trouble, but I feel I would be deducting points only to add them back in. No true upside.
If you're strong at wide receiver, I don't hate it. And here's why. I don't like the Wilson Jr. part. I try and get a lower end wide receiver maybe because you're going to have to drop somebody. But if you could drop somebody who's kind of worthless and get a little bit of a lower end wide receiver, like a wide receiver 4, just to fill Waddle's spot, I do think that Stevenson has played well enough to join a 50-50 time split with Harris. The Patriots never really like to use one, especially if they don't have to. And I think that they now realize they have two that are both very similar and can both catch the ball and both are pretty powerful. I think you're going to see Harris and Stevenson be equals from here on out. They already have been the past week and the week before that Harris didn't play and Stevenson murdered it. So I like it if you're in RB trouble. If you want a second RB, I don't know if Wilson Jr. is the one. It just depends on who's the guy you're dropping.
Yeah. You're right. I don't hate it, but Wilson Jr. is not somebody I want back. I would look to see if they have somebody else, like he said. J-Rob and Monty making me nervous.
It'll make me nervous.
I think Monty's going to have a better game. I mean, they're going against Detroit this week. Andy Dalton's practicing with them. Andy Dalton, they know, is the person. Andy Dalton played well with Montgomery in the beginning. I don't know. I think this Bears offense is going to surprise people this week, and I think they're going to put up points. And that's with A-Rob probably not being there and Mooney banged up. Mooney looks like he's more of a go than A-Rob is, but I can see them putting up points. All right. I picked up Ty Johnson last week, and now Carter's out. Also, I have Javonte Williams, Cook Madison, and Taylor at running back. Needed wide receiver, trying to make a run. Pats, D, Cook, and JT got me 130 last week. Holy moly.
Man. Nice.
That's a nice move there, man.
You said you needed a wide receiver or you need a wide receiver? If you need a wide receiver, out of all of that,
that's based on the trade that he made, I think, that he was mentioning before. Traded Pollard and Renfro for Godwin.
Wow.
And I think, again, that's where his
and
comment
then he picked up Ty Johnson. So perfect. You're good to go. That's why you got a big smiley face.
Good move, yeah. I guess got lucky on his trade. Gesicki. Okay, you're right. Good call. Look at that. Oh man, you know us. You know your team here, the ABG family. I love it.
No, but that wasn't the ABG league.
Well, again, but you still the ABG family of people that are in our group that you know.
I was just looking at his roster, just sort of eyeballing. I was eyeballing. I was trying to see. I was trying to see, like, all right, this guy was probably this round. This guy was. It looks like he didn't really pick up one of the top tight ends, so I just said Gesicki. I was just a guess, but that's what I do.
I love that, Mr. Zero or Hero.
True.
Alan also has Bateman. That's based on what he was saying before with his option. What was he saying before? I don't even remember.
I don't know, but I think if Lamar's back, if he got rid of the runs, I think Bateman's going to bounce back this week, and I think a lot of people that played him last week are going to put him on the bench. It's just the way it goes.
All right. Rojo balled out last night. Yeah, man. Rojo looked good. He looked definitely better than what he has in the past. All right. Which to drop, Goldman or Bolden? I know both are useless, but I might need to play one if I don't do backup Sony. 7th priority, so meh.
What's the drop? I think you drop Goldman. You know, they clearly don't like him. I mean, we detailed it on Saturday what happened, what should have happened, but all of a sudden Allison came out of nowhere. They like Allison. They brought him back. They realized, I can't quit you. And he did what Gallman should have done last week, so I think you drop Gallman because Bolden has value in case one of the top two go down. I don't know if Gallman has value at all because if Patterson comes back, he's got 0 whenever he comes back in a couple of weeks. So I don't know. I don't like Bolden. Go with your gut. But I feel I hate Gallman. I don't hate Gallman. I hate the Falcons for what they did to him. Should have been him last week. Should have been him having a good week, and it wasn't.
Where did Josh Rosen go? Isn't he on Atlanta? Did he come in when they decided to take everybody out in the third quarter?
Twice, 2 weeks in a row.
Craziness.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I have to head out. If I don't send any messages or anything until Happy Thanksgiving. Saturday show again. Yes, we are going to be doing a Saturday show this week.
Yep.
To get the rest of the games in here.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all make a few shirts, I'll take one. Awesome, man. Sweet. Yeah, that's definitely a part of the plan this year. We're probably going to wait until the end of the season and then get some shirts out there. We could definitely use the promotion all over the country.
Yeah. Well, we have a contest. And
we do.
That
contest has been open for a long time.
Well, 2 years. A year plus this year because we started in the beginning of last season. We're trying to get to 300. Let's get to 300. We're going to do a random. We're going to give people T-shirts. And, I mean, there's an aspect, like we have the Patreon set up where you could get a coffee mug with the Answers by Guest logo that you see in the top right hand corner. You can get a hoodie. You can get t-shirts. And there's one other thing, stickers or a sticker, like a nice size decal. You can put it somewhere. I don't know,
You can put it somewhere.
on your book covers for social studies, something like that. Um,
Right on my
but
forehead.
like the problem with that, the reason that we don't talk about it too much is that it costs you money. But like I think like if you pay like $5 a month for like, I want to say like 4, 5, or 6 months, like you get an Answered by Guess hoodie for free or something like that. I don't know. You got to look. You got to go to Answers by Guess Patreon, and you get prizes, but nobody's done it. And I want one, and I was like, I'll buy it. And they said, you can't, we don't have it set up so you could buy at this time. That was when I last messaged them. That was over the summer. It's like, but I want to wear one. You know, if I wear one, maybe people will sign up because, you know, Patreon's going to take a high percentage of that money. They're like, well, you know, you got to have subscribers. And I was like, oh, no, we're giving out free information. You know, but if you want something, that would probably be your two options right now, unless you just want to order a shirt from us or something. But what I would do, look at Patreon, A, and B, if you're looking for a free option, invite some people, type your name in that post, get us to 300 so we can run a random, and hopefully you can win a t-shirt for free. And we got our old logos. And what I'm going to start having my wife do, because she makes shirts, is do the new logo on some shirts. And I can't wait to get one myself, but I'm waiting to have her make them. Yeah, you know, I got you, baby. Until we get the winners from the random when we hit 300 people. And I'm just going to be like, okay, I need 7 shirts or 8 shirts or 9 shirts.
23 shirts.
23 shirts. So, like, let's do it. Let's add people. Let's get us to that. We'll run the random. Get yourself a shirt. Check out Patreon. If you don't want to do it, I really don't care. But it's a way to get some free merch, is what the cool kids are saying.
It's funny. My boys are into YouTube people. I guess the personalities on YouTube and gamers and streamers and all that stuff. And these guys make a ton of money off of merch, man. They have their own websites and all that. They have this guy Preston that they watch who plays video games and does a whole bunch. Dude, I just bought them beanies at $17 a pop.
I could have got one for $4.
Exactly. That's the crazy part. So, all right, chat with me too.
Yeah, man, everything I just said. There's 2 ways. One way you can make it happen, possibly take a shot at getting it for free. The other way, take a look at Patreon and see what the subscription says and see what you got to do to get a t-shirt. I think a t-shirt is like level 3. I think there's 4 levels. Level 1 is a sticker you can put somewhere. Level 2 is a coffee mug. Level 3 is a t-shirt. Level 4 is a hoodie. Like, I want a hoodie. I want an Answer by Guess hoodie because we're in New York, so we get 8 cold months a year. So I'll be rocking that hoodie, and I mean that's what I got on right now. But they won't give me one, so I might just have my wife make one. Screw them. Screw Patreon.
No. All right. Everybody that's on YouTube and Twitter that's watching, the contest is in the Facebook group. Answers by Guess.
Yeah,
Facebook.
it's in there. I think it's pinned to the
posted on the top. Yep, it's posted to the top.
It's all the way at the end. You got to scroll all the way to the back. So maybe I'll bump it. Maybe I'll bump it up. I'll do it right now.
I have refused to drop Allen Robinson until this point, but I feel I need to make room for someone halfway useful for my playoff run chances. I'm still not dropping A-Rob, man. I know it sounds crazy. I know it's that time of the year and you need people. If he's out this week, I understand. I just feel like he still has. Maybe he doesn't have value. He hasn't been playing well. Guess what are you thinking?
Chad, are you with me? Are you listening? I'm going to ask you a question. What's the golden rule if you're going to ask the question about dropping someone? Does anybody remember? Bueller?
Are you asking me?
Anyone?
I think I remember.
What is it?
If you're dropping someone, who are you picking up that has more value?
Yeah. I love that you refuse to drop them because that tells me that, right, Alan? I love that you refuse to drop them, Chad, because that tells me that you realize that there's no reason to drop them if there's nothing better out there. So if you say you feel you need to make room for someone halfway useful for your playoff run chances, I mean, if they're only halfway useful, if Allen Robinson comes back, he's probably halfway useful. He's probably been halfway useful. But if you have a position of need, if there's a defense out there that you're like, oh, I could plug you in week 14, I could plug you in week 16 also, and the defense I'm using has terrible matchups, well, that's a little better than halfway useful. So I don't mind the drop. I don't know the makeup of your league or your team, but I don't mind it, especially since he's out again. But Alan said it. Who you replace him with? That's a cardinal rule. If you've got somebody more than halfway useful, go for it. But I appreciate and I applaud your stamina, for lack of a better term, of holding on to him because, like, there's no reason to drop somebody unless there's somebody better. And Allen Robinson, is as bad as he's been, is pretty good. You look at the names that are out there, it's like, he's a shell of himself statistically, but he had a growing, learning quarterback, and it's Dalton now as long as Fields is out, which could only be a week. So I don't know. If it were me, I'm holding him until he gets back on the field, just in case.
All right, Josh, with drop Rams D for Cordero Patterson. I have 49ers. I think, yeah. I mean, this week they're playing Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken. But doesn't their schedule... No, Cordell Patterson. Cordero Patterson.
Is he back, though? He's got a high ankle sprain.
He's still questionable. I mean, they're showing him as projected points this week.
Yeah, but that's just because they haven't taken him away. Because no timetable was given. He wasn't placed on IR. I don't think he's going to play. I don't mind having him on the team, but it's a high ankle sprain, and this team is pretty much out of it. And especially if they don't win this week.
Yeah. And they have a tougher schedule. They have the Bucks coming up next. I mean, they play the Bucks, they play Carolina, they play San Francisco, they play Buffalo, they play the Saints.
The Rams D is still the Rams D.
Yeah.
I think I'd hold on to him.
I would try to maybe drop somebody else, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Alan, who are you replacing them with? Very good answer is the cardinal rule. That is correct, sir. All right, we got 3 games to go through. Let's jump into it.
I completely forgot.
Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. I mean, we pretty much covered a lot of this, but let's just recap. Bears more than likely without A-Rob. Mooney definitely stepped up last week. Going to be Andy Dalton. How do we feel about the whole offensive situation for the Chicago Bears, and who are we playing? On the flip side, it seems like Goff is 50-50, which I'm assuming means more that Boyle is going to play, the fact that he's 50-50 on Tuesday. Swift had a big run. That was the majority of what got him his yardage. Are we comfortable starting a Swift against the Chicago Bears defense, whose name is great? It's the Bears defense, but they kind of haven't been playing like the Bears defense. And am I starting anybody else on this team?
Yeah, I think you start Mooney. You start Monty. I think we talked about it before. Komet. I don't like him as much with Dalton I feel like Komet started to come on really with Fields. And when it was Dalton last game, Komet did nothing. I don't think that that's something that you want to be reactive or proactive to. I think that's just you read the tea leaves there. You're like, well, Dalton's not really looking at the tight end. Mooney came through huge when Dalton came in. Detroit, if it is Goff, I feel like maybe Josh Reynolds comes to life. Was he active last week?
I'm going to go with I don't think so.
Yeah. Because he certainly didn't do anything. I feel like that they had.
Yeah, he was active. He had 3 targets but didn't do anything.
Okay, and it was Tim Boyle. But the whole reason that we like Josh Reynolds is if it was Goff. So if it was Goff and you're absolutely dire straits, you could probably do worse than throwing a dart at Josh Reynolds because they clearly need him. And Swift, I like Swift. And you know what? I would not be surprised if Detroit wins because on Thanksgiving they play amazingly. They've been
Super Bowl.
Yeah, they've been so close each and every game. Like it really wouldn't surprise me. And because it's Dalton, and like I said, Dalton is going to make the offense a little bit better, but he has a ceiling, and you kind of know what you're getting with Dalton, and that includes some good plays and some bonehead turnovers. Detroit's opportunistic. They're at home. It's Thanksgiving. Rob just said it's their Super Bowl. I wouldn't be surprised if they won division game. I mean, they always play really well, even when they're terrible on Thanksgiving. And I think as bad as Goff's been, I think it needs to be Goff for that to happen. Because Josh Reynolds will then be involved. And I don't know about Tim Boyle.
Yeah, they were in that game. Detroit defense has actually been playing pretty good, man. They were playing Cleveland pretty strong, and they had chances to win the game. They just didn't get over the hump. I'm going to jump in and just do a quick question real quick. Drop Gaskin for Cordell Patterson then. Cordell Patterson.
I'm not a big Gaskin guy, but last week they made Ahmed inactive. They signed Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson got a little burn. And then they had another guy. I can't remember who it was. Maybe I'll take a look. I don't know if I would drop Gaskin. Like, I feel like what I would do if I were you, Josh, I don't know if trade deadline already went, but like.
Is it Patrick Laird who was the other guy?
Yes, it was. And that's been a couple of weeks. So it's like those three, and they made Ahmed inactive. So that must mean something is going well for Gaskin, and he had a pretty good game. If you would rather have Patterson than Gaskin, then I take Gaskin off of that big game. I do it tonight, and I package him with somebody else. And hopefully your league has instant trades. And if they do, it will work perfectly. And you do Gaskin packaged with someone else. You bolster up that other position, whoever the other guy is, especially if you need it. And then you scoop Cordell Patterson with your open spot. Then you get rid of Gaskin. I don't want to put Gaskin out there for anybody to get for free. That's basically what I'm saying.
Agreed.
Because Patterson's not going to play this week, I don't think. And I don't think they lose this week to Jacksonville. Right?
Jacksonville.
I mean, they might just shut the whole ship down.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Let's go on to the next one here. Las Vegas Raiders at the Dallas Cowboys. Raiders coming off of a tough loss last week. I don't know. Derek Carr he was so high up there. We thought with Gruden leaving, this team was going to explode. They did. And then your boy Edwards last week had, I think, a target maybe. No receptions. The Waller came back. I mean, that was definitely a positive there, but nobody really else did anything. Josh Jacobs didn't run the ball well. Drake didn't run the ball well. This Dallas team's pissed off. Are we comfortable starting our Raiders, our Renfros, our Wallers, our Jacobs, our Drakes? On the flip side, Dallas got beat up. We said it was a defensive game in which they had a chance of winning, but they just couldn't get over the hump either. CeeDee's out. Cooper's out. It seems like Zeke is healthy, but does that mean we see some more Pollard? You had mentioned Cedric Wilson before. You mentioned Gallup before. Anybody else we should be thinking about?
Yeah. Wilson in a pinch. Gallup for sure. I'm playing him myself. And if I owned him in more leagues, I'd probably play him in all of them. Zeke, you got to just roll with him unless you got a slam dunk option. If this game wasn't Thanksgiving, I might play Robinson over Zeke. But since it's on Thanksgiving, I feel like the Cowboys typically do pretty well on Thanksgiving as well. I'm going to play Zeke. I'm worried about Pollard. Zeke keeps getting banged up in game. It really worries me. And I'm still not even 100% playing Zeke over James Robinson. Just because he keeps getting banged up in the game. He keeps surviving. He keeps coming back. But Pollard keeps getting more and more snaps, more and more touches, doing more and more with it. So I'm nervous about Zeke. But going against the Raiders, if Dallas defense can show up, they can force Carr into some mistakes. I think you have to play Waller. I don't see a real reason to take Jacobs out of your lineup. Drake is worrisome after the couple good weeks that he had. I think he can go back to the bench, but if the Dallas offense shows up, he's definitely serviceable this week. And I said it last week about Brian Edwards. He was the week 10 guesstimator, and on Saturday show, I was like, I don't know if I trust him this week. Like, I'm not going to react to last week and say, okay, now he did it. I want to see it consistently. And he threw up another goose egg. So goose egg, bonanza, goose egg the past 3 weeks from him. And for whatever reason, I don't get it. Because he's open. I feel like he's open. He's running good routes. He's not dropping passes. I don't get it. Then you got Wish, Renfro, Wish Cup. I think you throw him in PPR, half point. You kind of have to. So I like the offenses in these games. I think that the algorithm, and I love that we're calling it that, it kind of works, but not a ton because Kansas City is a really good team. So Dallas didn't really get upset as much as they are upset that they lost.
That's a really good way to put it. Okay.
Right?
I like that. All right, go into the last game here. Buffalo Bills at the New Orleans Saints. Buffalo Bills coming off of that big loss where Jonathan Taylor destroyed their lives. They played well, though, to a certain extent. I mean, Diggs had 2 touchdowns. They don't run the ball anymore. They have moved away from running the ball, unless it's Breida for some reason now all of a sudden, which he's taking all the carries. Is he's worth a pickup, I guess, to a certain extent, or since it's a 3-headed monster, we kind of stay away. Beasley's banged up. It looks like he has limited in practice. Should it be all systems go against this Saints defense, who didn't look that – I mean, they gave up a lot of points. I think I was even texting with you saying, man, Philly seems to be in the red zone every, 20 seconds, it seems like. That's not the Saints defense that we're used to seeing, at least for this year. And then on the flip side, Alvin Kamara seems like he's coming back. They're saying it's a possibility. I don't think it's happening. Tony Jones Jr. is going to be the one. Anybody else? I mean, Troutman's out. Is your boy Jawan Johnson going to show up this week? I don't even know if I'm looking at any Saints players, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's Diggs, it's Knox, it's Allen, and that's about it. I don't see a reason to take a shot on Davis, Beasley, or any of the Bills running backs. Because while there was once 2, there are now 3. For whatever reason, Moss has fallen out of favor. I use Singletary in one league because it's like a huge starting roster and huge roster sizes. So it's like he's like someone I have to start because I could start 6 running backs if I wanted to. But I don't even have 6 running backs because the rosters are so big. But that's besides the point. There's no reason unless you're absolutely dying. I don't think that Kamara's going to play in this game. I don't see reason. You're going against the Bills. Bills in the same situation as Dallas. You got to think the defense shows up a little bit. The only thing that could keep them in it is if they force Allen to some mistakes. If Allen tries to force it to Diggs, but Lattimore will be on Diggs more than likely. I don't know. I just feel like the Bills are in the same situation as the Cowboys, and Simeon has not looked good. I don't think it's going to be Simeon. I feel like they're going to use Taysom Hill quite a bit more in this one. He was active last week, but they didn't use him. Then they signed him to the big contract. Now, the big contract says if he plays as a quarterback, he gets more money than if he plays any other position. Mm-hmm. So it would seem stupid to use him as a quarterback, but I think that's exactly what they're going to do because you know what else seems stupid? Giving Taysom Hill 2 huge contracts for what he does. So there goes that idea. But I don't like Tony Jones Jr. going against this team. Marquez Callaway scores a touchdown every week. Traquan is somebody we talked about on Saturday, and it's the trend sort of continued. With Troutman out, Troutman was ascending. Troutman was about to pass Freiermuth in my trio of young tight ends to look at. He was about to pass him. He was having a nice game.
He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah,
I know. I know. But what I want to say was Juwan Johnson, we can go back to the well with him, but he's not as good as Troutman. So I think that even if he is the starter, you have the nice duality with him. But even if he is the starter, he's more of like a hold and see. This will be a game where they'll probably need him, but he doesn't run routes as well as Troutman from what I see in the games. But he catches passes, and he's got to be their starter at this point. And what else do they really have other than the same exact wide receiver? Traquan equals Deontay Harris equals Marquez Callaway. It's like the same exact guy. Skinny, little speedy guy.
I feel like Harris is going to have the best game. I think they're going to be focused on Traquan since he's been getting the most targets. I can see them trying to push Callaway since he's the number one. I can see Harris being the deep ball, the slot guy, trying to get out there. That's who I would say. If you're doing a DFS, I don't think I'm starting him in a fantasy lineup, but if you're doing a DFS lineup, he may be somebody to take a look at if you're doing a Thursday one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But we don't recommend you play any of these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason. But DFS.
From a DFS standpoint, yeah. I mean, from a fantasy, if this is a make or break week for you, I'm trying to look for better options. I'm not going with Saints players, to be honest with you, especially against this Bills team who's really pissed off.
And I will say this, and maybe this sort of closes it out. DFS on Thanksgiving Day is one of the most fun because you got 3 games, 6 teams. You do a full slate. There's a lot of variance, a lot of variation. I like to play the single game on Sunday night or the single game on Monday night, but there's like only so many combinations. You know, it's like, God, I need it. Like last night, God, I got to have Tom Brady and I got to have Mike Evans. And I got to have Chris Godwin, but then I have no money for everybody else. So I take out this guy and I put in Ronald Jones. It's like, okay, so now I can play 2 kickers. And it's like, oh, God, there's not many choices. Thanksgiving Day, if you've never done DFS before, or if you have but never really did it on Thanksgiving for whatever reason, it's my absolute favorite day to do DFS. It's usually where I start really getting into DFS is right around Thanksgiving. The past couple weeks or so, I've been dibble-dabbling a little, winning like $4 or $5 here or there, being really close to winning a lot of money, but making one bad choice. Story of my life.
Story of my life.
But Thanksgiving's fun. And with these 6 teams that we just talked about, there's a ton of good weapons. And you could build probably a pretty couple teams. I'm probably going to do at least 3 different teams, I think. Try walk away a millionaire. Who knows? Maybe you'll never see me again. Bye.
And this will be the Answers by Guest last show, according to Guest here. All right, guys. Answers by Guest. Always remember, look for the hashtag Answers by Guest. If you put it into any search in any of the social media sites, you'll be like, holy crap, that's those 2 guys again. That's us. Yeah. Remember, like us, follow us, subscribe, all of the above, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and we love Patreon.
Yeah, get some merch. Get some
merch. Thanks for watching, guys.
Check out those hoodies, man. They're black hoodies, I think, with the Answers by Guests on it. They look pretty sick, man. The mug is white. check them out. Merch, Patreon.
All right, guys. Answers by guess. Good luck on Thursday.
Good luck.
Like I said, play some DFS if you can. It's fun.
And Rob, I think I speak for us both when we say we are thankful for all of you.
Always.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
See ya.